Welcome back to Watching Film and Varnadore Films. I'm Seth Varnadore. I'm back for another season of film review here, looking at the Florida Gators. Last season did Gators Game Day with Bud Davis. Had a lot of fun. This year going back to doing some of the more film stuff, so we'll be posting those here every week. Want to go ahead and get out this look at Florida's opening game against the juggernaut Long Island University Sharks here. A little bit of a rusty game from the offense early, and we're going to talk about why that was. Billy Napier mentioned a couple reasons that might have been, and we'll kind of take a look at it on the film, and then talk about a really good defense performance and a really good backup quarterback performance. So let's go ahead and get to it here. All right, so we'll start on the defensive side of the ball. First kind of series of the game here. Florida's in a tight front here. So you've got kind of four eyes or inside shade of the tackles. Not quite a three tech, then a nose. You're playing this to kind of occupy these tackles. If people pull, you want to bounce the ball outside, right? And you've got overhang defenders here for that. So Long Island goes with quarterback counter play. Pullers come down. George Gums does a good job of getting into the puller here, compressing that. I think this is Jaden Robinson does a good job of taking on the blocker, keeping his arm free, getting an arm on the football, and it pops out, picked up there for an easy touchdown. So getting that tight front, bounce the ball out, do a really good job compressing the pullers. You guys make a great play here. All right, so next drive, 3rd and 6. Do a really good job of kind of mixing up coverages here throughout the game. So here you're going to basically get what looks like cover 1. You've got one high safety. Looks like man across the board. Really good job by Gums of just attacking the mesh here. And then those guys playing man are able to kind of get over the top, squeeze it down, make a play there on 3rd down. So mixing up coverages a little bit more aggressive, some man coverage here on 3rd down. I know people enjoy seeing that. So let's look at the offense. I didn't get the sack on the first play, but here's the second play of the game for the offense. So Billy Napier mentioned very briefly in his post-game press conference, mentioned the radar defense. So what the radar defense was, it was in the 60s and 70s, I believe. And it was kind of an invention at the high school level that worked its way up a little bit. And the radar defense, now this isn't true radar defense, but the radar defense was basically everybody would be standing up like this guy here. Everyone's standing up in a 2-point stance, all right? We're all standing up. We're not necessarily attacking a gap right away or kind of engaging the offense right away. We're reading and reacting. So if you go back and watch Long Island last year, went back and watched them against TCU briefly, they were an odd front team, but they kind of had 2 static linebackers kind of in the B gaps or kind of in that guard area, right? So you kind of had a 3-4 defense probably that was somewhat static at alignment. And now here you see guys kind of moving around a ton, right? So guys are cycling in and out. You see guys starting, right? And so what a lot of teams will do in pass protection and some teams in the zone run games, and I think Florida is kind of in the zone run game thing, is you'll have a count. You'll set a guy as the center will set like a 0 point. So I think so how some teams do it. And then you'll have a 1 and a 2. So you're just counting on either side, right? And some teams will be like, okay, well, here's where I'm setting the point at. All right, I've got 1, you've got 2. Well, now when it changes post snap, that can give you some problems. And so if you notice, now it shouldn't be a total issue if you're running true zone because you are kind of, it's more about your gaps than necessarily the man. But sometimes I can help you identify things quickly, and you see how much movement you're getting from Long Island up front. Now, I think this is kind of their plan. If they catch you in a bad look, and they've maybe slanted into a look that's not good for you, they can kind of get a negative play. If you catch them, like right here, they're kind of bringing guys off the backside edge. Don't have a lot of bodies there. You catch them, now you get a big play. So it's kind of a underdog strategy of some higher risk, higher reward, hoping. Florida kind of gets it figured out after a little bit early and is able to kind of pound them. But I think that was some of the issues, right? Because you're just seeing guys. This is not a static look, right? You're seeing guys come from kind of all over, moving post snap. You're not just getting a static. Again, if you go back and watch TCU last year, it's like 3 down, linebacker here, linebacker here. They're not really moving a ton unless you move, right? So I think that all this movement caught them by surprise a little bit and led to some of those issues early. But if you can kind of catch them and then you have a dude that can do that, you can make some big plays. All right, so kind of continuing this drive here. I'm going to motion the tight end outside, right? What you're hoping is you get the corner to go out with the tight end. You get your receiver matched up. It seemed like they thought they might get too high here, just based on it appears. It's hard to see exactly, but it looks like he's kind of running off almost. And I think if you feel like you get too high, is what they thought, and what they thought they might get. You're running kind of a look at smash down here, but I think he's going to take a couple steps to the corner and then break it back to the post, right? Pretty similar to what DK scored on last year against Tennessee, kind of a similar look. But I think what happens is you get more of a one-high presentation, so the post is dead, and DJ does a good job dropping the ball down to the hitch out there or the curl out there, just picking up some yards there on first down, picking up an easy first down. Some of the problems early were what we said, like the whole radar thing, guys moving, but some of it was just kind of general sloppiness, I thought, and just not being super, I wouldn't say not being dialed in, but just not executing really well up front. You'll see here, great run by Jaden Ball, but we kind of see this view here, right? If it is true zone, which it appears to be, right, I'm kind of just trying to reach and win this gap, right? I'm trying to reach and win this gap, right? What you can't have happen is get beat across face, right? I've got to get that guy reached. So right here, you see this defensive line wins across face, right? I don't get him reached, right? I'm trying to get my helmet on this side of his helmet. The opposite's happened, right? He's got his helmet on that side of my helmet. So he's the one that ends up kind of making this play a little muddy. If you get that blocked, you're in pretty good shape. So it's just things like that where this isn't like a problem of identification. This is just a problem of execution. And it's game one. It's early. I thought there was, and I'm not down on the field, so I can't tell you for sure, but a couple guys from Long Island seem to get off the ball really fast. I wonder if they mix up the count at all or try to kind of change the count on them to try to change the look up for them or try to, get them to jump or slow them down a little bit. They try to do it with screen later, which is a really well-designed screen, but you'll see it a few times. These guys are getting off the ball really fast, and I don't know if there's a ton of like snap count manipulation done to kind of hold them back. So this is one here I put on because I thought this is one that I don't think you need to cut this back. Like I don't know if he's got – now Florida has a ton of different zone looks. They have wide zones. They have mid zones. So maybe he doesn't have the kind of maybe he's not tracking wide on this and he sees a flash of color to cut it back. But, man, it sure looks like he can kind of stay in this thing front side and maybe bend it out. But, again, I don't know. It's very possible this is like a tighter zone where he's pressing this gap and his option is press that gap or cut back, right? Because some teams will play that. Like I'm pressing the front side A gap and the cut is back. It's not bouncing out. But it certainly seems like they've got the edge sealed here. And if you are kind of working out, I don't have to worry about this kind of backside penetration. But, again, it's the same kind of thing, right? It's a tough reach. But, if there's a call made, right, there might be a call here because he leaves in a hurry, right? The right guard leaves in a hurry. to help the center here. So I'm assuming a call was made. He doesn't really give a backside hand or anything to help out here. So he knows I got to go and take this thing over. So I really got to really work to reach that guy. He's unable to, and then you're forced to cut back. Now, if you're able to stay front side, it could be a really big play, but that cut back kind of slows it down a little bit. All right, so I want to show this one. I thought this was pretty well designed. So all the motion, eye candy, then you also pull the guard here, and you see what kind of play. Pulling the guard, the motion and the play action gets eyes here, right, to throw this out. Gets this guy, right, with the motion and the play action and the guard pulling. You're having the tackle come to him, so it makes this trip shorter for the tackle. And then I thought the really cool part of the design here is they call this guy like a rat killer, guys that are kind of sniffing around and trying to kill the screenplays from behind. Often the coaches call them rats. So you see the centers comes out back here, and he's the rat killer. So kind of watch how well this works out here. Pass it off, tackle, and then normally on counter right here, typically, right, we're down blocking, and then we're kicking and wrapping a second guy. So this looks like my normal counter track, but now I can kind of just extend my track and run the screen. And then he comes flat as the rat killer here. So let's watch that, how this plays out. So it looks just like counter. Right, here's your rat killer coming back. Get a good block on the perimeter. Get some good downfield blocks, and you get the ball in the guy's hand. It's very dynamic, very smooth. I think he'll probably have a big year. He was my pick at the Independent Gator Media Day. Enjoyed being out there. He was my pick for breakout offensive player of the year because I saw him in spring practice at the coaches clinic, and he was Vernell Brown was really, really good player. He was breaking guys off left and right in the red zone stuff. So I think he's got a chance to be a really good player, and obviously last night probably helps that argument. All right, so here's a 3rd and 13. This is one I'm not quite sure what DJ's looking at here. So they're going to go kind of switch verts here with a shallow. I don't know if they thought they might get quarter, half, or man, and he would kind of stay low with the tight end, but you're going to get a crosser, probably a skinny post, and then a wheel, right? Against one high, to me, and again, I don't know exactly how they're teaching everything, but and you got these here. Against one high, if it's a one high look here like it ends up being, right? So it looks like we get a cover 3 look right here. So we get 4 rushers. Right? It's hard to tell exactly where everybody is, but it appears that we have one high look. So if it's a one high look, he's kind of staring down this. I don't know. I'm not quite sure if he's trying to see if this guy's going to stay low to throw this crosser. But I could really, if it is a one high look, and again, I'm not positive that we don't have somebody else off screen. I guess we can count everybody up real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, if we counted correctly here, this is everybody. So it's going to be a one high look. To me, if it's a one high look, I'm thinking he was going to get influenced somewhat by the crosser, right? So if he's – I'm kind of can have eyes here. Once he widens with a crosser, my foot comes in the ground and I hammer this. I hole shot this post right here. Or if I don't like that, I come down to the wheel or the shallow, right? He's kind of looking here, I think, to see if he can get the crosser the whole way. And then I think he pulls it down early. I don't know if he feels like he can get the crosser if he steps up to it, but I thought he had a pocket here. If he just steps up right now and is just hammering the ball with the velocity he has on this, what's going to be a skinny post, I think he's probably got a touchdown there, right? This route takes this middle of the field safety out of the play, And now I'm just ripping a skinny post here on a corner that's outside leverage already. Right? Bang right now. Rip it. You probably got a touchdown. If I don't like that, the corner runs with it. I can either throw it to Trey Wilson one-on-one, which I like the matchup, or drop it down to my tight end. I thought he left the pocket a little early here. And if he would have just kind of safety runs with a crosser, bang, step up, rip the post, I think you might have a touchdown right there. Instead, you got to settle for a field goal attempt, and you miss it. So I thought this was a good third and long, interesting pressure presentation here, right? You've got 4 here, basically from this guard over. So you're going to get the slide to go this way, which means you'll probably get one-on-one here. And that means the back's got him, or if the back goes out, nobody's got him, right? So you get the lineman to slide, and then what do you do on this side? So right now the back looks like he's going out for the route. So now you see you've got 4 guys sliding this way. You drop 2 of them out. So now you got 4 guys blocking 2, 1 guy unblocked. Makes the quarterback step up, and you have guys waiting on him if your other guys don't get off the block. So really good design there on a third and long. Get the pass protection manipulated with your front. Get that turned this way, and then bring 2-on-1 backside. So this is like the promise of the safe pressures and protected pressures. That's the promise kind of fulfilled there. So all right, so Florida's trying to go this. I think they're trying to go with probably the same concept they hit Vernell Brown on later. It looks like possibly wave, which is kind of a double post, like a real across the field post, a vertical post, and then a deep crosser. And you kind of are looking deep vertical post to the crosser late. I think that's what they're trying to get to here. And this is one where you do a decent job initially here at right tackle, kind of compressing it, and then you lose the rusher, and he ends up coming free. That forces Lagway to run. You'd like to see him just get out of bounds here. You could probably get about the same amount of yardage if you just ran to the sideline and got out without taking a hit. But this guy's played a lot of football and been really good at it his whole life. So that's tough to break those kind of instincts. So come back here. Here's a good look at Y cross. Not too dissimilar. So the one they miss earlier is a similar look. The one earlier, they go corner, and then the deeper, right? And then I think you might even have the tight end shallow as well, right? So they did kind of flood with the corner instead of the deep post. Here, I think it's probably just true Y cross, so he's running to go or possibly a post. Wilson's going to motion out. He's going to have the deep dig. Vernell Brown's going to have the deep crosser. You're going to get somebody in the flat over here. And it's just I have the alert shot for the deep shot, and then I can kind of high-low underneath defenders after that. Right, so that motion to get him outside gets Vernell Brown a free release. Gets Wilson a pretty free release as well. There's a short option taken. You've got the crosser. There's the dig coming behind it, and the deep option has cleared it out. So just just classic air raid Y cross. Florida loves to do this with it's just another version of kind of their flood reads where I'm flooding the side of the field. They love to do it with Y cross. 3rd and 10 later in the drive. This is one I think a lot of people got upset about. Why are you throwing a screen on 3rd and 10? So this is one I think, when you work this kind of box count stuff in the run game, probably don't want this throw here. So this is a read pre-snap. I believe he's got a hitch up here that he could take. I don't know if it converts to a go if this guy's up or not. It probably does. So this may convert to a go route. If the corner's rolled up, he bails out. You got motion here. So if I got numbers, I can run the screen down here, or I can hand off the ball in the run game, right? So as the motion comes across, is anybody coming out of the box? No. All right, so he's determined, all right, nobody's coming out of the box. I'm going to throw the screen. Now, LIU plays it pretty well. You don't get a good block. If this is a great block right here and he's able to get inside and go, you might have a chance at a play, right? Because you have numbers, and this is why he throws it, because 2-on-2, right? I got 2 blockers for 2 defenders, so I'm really 3-on-2 with the ball carrier, right? So I should be in good shape here. Don't get a great block. That forces me to slow down. If I'm able to just kind of clean this guy out and I can catch it and go, I've got a chance. Now, I also could have, with the motion as the corner rolls off, 3rd and 10. Why are you calling this? Well, probably because I'm, just trying to pick up, right? I could hand the ball off here, and I have a pretty good box to hand the ball off to, or I could throw the hitch up here. Probably get 5 or 6 at least, right? Get yourself in a 4th and manageable. Maybe you go for it. But this is one, so it was a package play. It had 3 options on it. They don't execute the option he chose. And that was my biggest concern watching the game last night. Not necessarily like it's fine to be vanilla in a game 1 against an inferior opponent. I think that's fine to be vanilla, but you want to see vanilla executed really well. And I don't think at all times vanilla was executed really well, which is the concern, right? So it's tough to get to the really good stuff, the really more complicated stuff, if you can't execute the simple stuff really well. But first game, you're going to see some sloppiness. Right, and so this is kind of what I'm talking about with you're doing some kind of strange things defensively, but it's kind of messing up Florida here. So you're on the goal line. You're going to have running a game up front where he's going to come all the way back across. So your guard ends up kind of picking this defensive lineman that's coming all the way back in instead of picking up this backer that's coming down into the gap right here. Right. So he ends up coming back here instead of having eyes for there. And that guy comes free, makes the play. So this is just all these kind of funky fronts and things like that. USF moves and moves a ton and blitzes a ton and is super aggressive. So probably a good week to get all that fixed and really work on that. So good look in the game here. So now you're going to motion out your back. He's going to run kind of a slant, right? And then your receiver here is going to run the corner. Really good man beater, right? Even if it's not man, you have a good chance. You can kind of high-low a corner if he's playing out there, right? But if you do get man coverage, it should be nice and easy. That's what you get. Good throw and catch. Good protection. Nice and easy there. Great catch. Not the best ball. All right, so put this one on because it's another 3rd and long, a different presentation here. So now I've got basically 5 dudes at the line of scrimmage, right? And possibly a 6th rusher being in the box here. Now, if I put 5 guys up the line of scrimmage, there's probably very few things I can do in pass protections. There's not a ton of different protections I have for this. And if I do, I might have one adjustment off of it, right? So when you can kind of give this presentation, you probably know what you're going to get in terms of pass pro. And LIU's even sending the back out. So it's going to be true empty protection. So you can kind of get them to check into that. And then what does that do? Probably going to get you a one-on-one on the outside. and your guy wins on the edge, makes it a tough throw. So I thought Florida did a really good job of kind of manipulating pass protections in this game and making it difficult for Long Island, obviously, to execute much of anything. So really good rep of the zone look here. Talk about like getting guys reached. This is a great job. You watch Slaughter here, and then your guard backside. The guard gets this reach. Slaughter's going to come down, kind of help. He's going to bang this guy back onto the guard, so the guard can totally take him over, and then he's going to climb. So really, really good high-level stuff here. Watch Slaughter bang, climb. The guards just envelop those dudes. And then you're back with some of the motion, kind of holding guys backside, is able to hit that crease and go. Go a little empty look here. This is something you see later with Tramel Logan, but it's just basically curl flat. They're going to do it kind of an interesting way here. So traditional curl flat, or traditional like Hank, which is what it calls it. A lot of people in the NFL call it. I think it's the West Coast terminology, right? Is curl, flat, and then number 3 is running kind of an over the ball, right? So that's how people traditionally run it. So Florida will kind of invert this a little bit, and they'll get the same picture, but kind of different. So instead of having number 2 being the flat, they're going to run a hitch by number 1. He runs kind of a corner and then sits back down on a curl route. He's going to run the over the ball. Outside here's going to run the hitch. And then he's going to be your curl guy here. So I'm still getting to the same lane marks as I would if the outside guy ran the curl. It's just a different presentation. And if you're a team like Florida that will run some, and you'll see later when Tramel Jones is in the game, Florida will run some seams by 2, right? You run seams and then you run curls off of it, off pretty much the same look. It's kind of a nice change up in complementary plays, right? So here it's just Hank, but with 2 running the curl instead of 1. Good job by DJ stepping up, finding the over the ball. But you see here, it's just curl flat to both sides with the over the ball route being thrown. Then another really good job up front here. Motion holds some guys out of the box. So they just started to get it moving. You see this wall just kind of moving in unison here, getting a lot of push, creating those vertical seams for the back. And then this guy's really good at reading it and does a really good job with it. So they kind of got it figured out. Play action here. The tight end's even going to go inside here to kind of sell it even more. Then he's back to the front of the end zone, crosser to the back of the end zone. The motion guy, release out and come back behind it as well. Then I think you got this as a block, and then after he blocks, he can kind of leak out as well, right? So nice off your play action. If he outflanks him right away, give it to him. Good timing. If you didn't like that one, probably could throw it at the back of the end zone as well. So sell the play action. Tight end does a good job getting him outflanked. If I didn't like that one, I got the back of the end zone there too. Hard to tell exactly what this one was. It looks like we got 3 vertical releases. Could have been Y cross here. DJ does a good job of getting the ball out of his hands right here. So the right tackle just kind of oversets out. He kind of oversets outside and gets beat. Doesn't really have that kind of strong inside hand there. Doesn't have that strong inside leg kind of anchored position there. And gets beat across face, right? So he kind of just oversets this a little bit. Gives up the inside. You've got a 4-man slide here. So I got 4 guys sliding. So I'm 1-on-1 backside, big on big. And just overset him outside, let him beat me inside. DJ does a good job of getting out of it, understanding where his check down is, getting him the ball. Not a big play, but it gets you, you know, you only lose 1 instead of 5 or 6. And then here's wave. So what wave is, I think they were kind of earlier. They ran it out of with a true tight end here. They've got the tight end flex out. It's hard to see him, but he's here. He's running the deep crosser. So then you got kind of a post, but it's really more of a deep crosser kind of post mixture, and then a deep vertical post. So traditionally, like if it's man, I'm kind of alerting this throw. Like I can throw that if it's man, but the traditional, then he's going to be in the flat. Progression is deep post to the over or the crosser to the check down. That's how it traditionally is. Not that the alert's a clear out, but it's probably going to be only thrown in man coverage, or, if you buy time in the pocket and have an absolute cannon, then you could rip it late, which he does here, and then unbelievable catch at the end, right? Like everything up to this point was really good for Vernell Brown, and then this just kind of puts the icing on the cake of, oh, this guy's probably a dude, right? So nice to see another great catch like that. So here's one that's like a real funky front presentation here. And it's kind of a mixture of things. I don't know how much freedom they have, or if this is part of being rusty or what, but kind of you get a nose here, a 3-tech, and then outside the tight end. To this side, you only have the guy outside the tight end. Obviously, you have backers that can fill up, but this is not like it's like half the line is in a bare front, or they're in like an overloaded front. But this backside, and it's initially this is a weak side present. This is the strong side presentation here. You got the tight end in the wing and a tight end. Now you're getting some blitz here, but still, like if it's, if you have the ability to audible or change the play, maybe you want to get into a run play going this way. I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's, asking too much or just hindsight's 2020 and a little bit too much, but it looks like a misalignment on defense. And then this is what I was talking about with like snap count. It seems like LIU got off the ball really quick. So you want to be down here, pulling around. They're trying to run power, it looks like, on the goal line. The backside, you get backside run through here. Right, you got two on the backside. Step down. I don't know if he's supposed to gap seal hinge. It's very possible that he's overextended here, because you see the center coming back this way. So let's see, the guard's down. So the center's coming down as well. So I'm assuming he's probably only supposed to gap, maybe seal, and then hinge back, if that. But the center is coming down, so it looks like he's kind of overextending here. Probably makes it a little bit tough on your tight end, cutting this off on the backside. Like, you may have been able to have a hand here from your right tackle with your center coming back, so it's down. The pull is going to have to happen wider now because of the down. And if you get this kind of cleaned up, you probably have a chance, right? But it looks like it's more that backside issue, right? So even with the odd kind of loaded front, they just kind of down to everything. Your puller can get back around, but didn't quite clean this up on the backside, it looks like. Could be him, could be the tight end not getting there. But not a great look on the backside there. So then you get an empty here on 3rd and goal. Somewhat similar concept. It's not a true corner here, but I think this is something Sturdivant's gonna be able to do, is use his body. He's just gonna run kind of a slot. You're gonna go slant and slot fade instead of slant corner. Sturdivant, I think that'll be his role, right? He's a big bodied guy. Use your body to make catches. Does a good job getting it, staying strong through the catch for the touchdown there. All right, here we got some second half looks. So I thought a real bright spot here. You're going to run Y cross. So this is not, despite what I've seen a little bit going around, this is not a different playbook. This is Y cross, which is, I think, what DJ's first incompletion, or his one incompletion to Vernell Brown, where he kind of missed him when he was wide open, was probably a similar look here. Or this completion of Vernell was actually that look. So here's curl flat. Now here's a more conventional presentation of it, right? Where we showed you the one earlier where 2 is running the curl. Well, now 1's going to run the curl. You still have the over the ball and then the flat players, right? So just basic West Coast offense, curl flat. See it a ton in the NFL. If you're Hank, this is Hank. See it all over the place. Again here, this is like the funkiness of the defense, or just kind of in the game 1 stuff. So I got a backside shade. So hoping to get the guard to overtake. Should probably have a hand here with my eyes to my play side gap. My guard is stepping to his play side gap. He's got what could be a head up or an outside shade, but it's going to cross back across his face. You're going to get out here, and then he's going to come into the guard's play side gap, right? So for the guard, I've got a guy in my play side gap. He's trying to give a hand and then climb. The center here, I think, gets kind of stuck on the backside shade. And it's a tough look, right? And this is what teams will try to do against zone teams, is slant and kind of confuse you with slanting. But I think here the center gets a hand, allows him to overtake, and tries to come off there. You got a hat for a hat there. But as it is, you don't get that kind of negotiated, and they're able to have a tackle for loss there. 3rd and 2. This was something that was good to see. I hadn't seen a ton of this, but it has been a part of the playbook. Some true RPO stuff. So eyes here. If he comes down and gets in the fit, throws a slant or the glance right behind his ear. Good job there. Not a great throw, but I like to get the decision and the timing. Just a little bit better ball. I think this is supposed to be kind of the same look, another way to get to Y cross, or kind of a similar look. I think you're going to get a shallow. He ends up going outside. I think there's probably some, why are they so bunched? I think he's supposed to have the crosser, and he kind of, his best, thinks he's taking best release and jumps outside. So as he's trying to get back to the crosser, he's kind of getting in this window where it may be best for him to jump inside and then gain ground, right? So that's why it looks a little muddled here. So he's, he kind of goes to attack this. If you go underneath and you get squeezed, you could get in trouble. So he jumps outside. But he's ready to get the ball out. So him jumping outside, I think he just drifts a little bit instead of getting across. And that's why they're in the same window. That's my guess without seeing the total distribution of routes. But that's kind of what it seems like. But good timing here. Looking deep, don't like it, come back, find that intermediate guy. Accurate throw. Let him run after catch. Really good job. 1st and 10 out of empty. Right, we talked about why would you want to run that kind of curl out of number 2 when you're doing curl flat? Because Florida also likes, and this is something you saw them run against Kentucky in Billy Napier's second ever game. It's Haas juke, so both sides have hitch and seam. So he's up the seam. The outside guy down here is running a hitch as well. And then he's got a juke route, so he can kind of sit and then cross face there. And so this is a really good job here by the quarterback of getting to this juke route late. This is one that, like, Tom Brady and the Patriots ran. I think there was one of the Super Bowls. They ran like 5 different times, and he threw it to 5 different players or something like that in a row in one of their big drives in their last Super Bowl. I think the one against the Rams. So right here you can see the juke. He's going to settle and then break across face here. Quarterback does a good job of, as he steps up, finding the juke route, putting it on him, and good catch and run after catch there on the juke route. But just a little Haas juke. And then kind of a snag look here out of a compressed set with a tight end and a wing. He's going to run the snag route, which is kind of a spot, but a lot of teams, if you run it from here, it's like a slant and sit. But they're going to run it from get to the same spot with the compressed set, and then a flare, and then the corner. This is Y corner in air raid world. So this is an air raid concept that a lot of teams use. That's all it is on the goal line there, and really good placement and touch to throw this thing up there. Probably could have dropped it to the back as well, but good placement, good touch there for the touchdown on the corner route. And then this is one I didn't mind. Just 3rd and 13, maybe don't want to expose your quarterback to a hit. I don't know. He threw the ball down the field well, but conceptually on the board here, right, pregame, this looks like a pretty good idea. You're going to get the ball on the perimeter to one of your better players, right? A guy in space. You've got 2 here, and now motioning the 3rd to block. I've got space on the perimeter. I should have 3 blockers, right? You missed the first block. Even with missing that block, if you get this one and a catch, you got a chance to get the sideline, and now you're in space. You got a chance to make a play, right? Get the ball to your players in space. But they miss both blocks, or they miss the block and they don't secure the catch. So I know some people want to see them push it downfield a little bit more, but conceptually the play was there, didn't execute it. So, right, we talked about them going like snag or Y corner. So this is a nice little change up on it on 3rd and 4. So snag, flat, and right, the touchdown they ran right here in the corner. Here they're going to run a dig. So as he goes to wall off the snag, that opens the dig window right there. Good timing, good throw by the quarterback, and good little change up there from what you ran down in the red zone previously. This is nothing special. I just like the timing of it, catch and throw. They talked about his RPMs. You could tell he could spin it. He was definitely, I thought, of the guys working in the spring. You're like, okay, he's the most talented guy for sure of that second group of quarterbacks. So I was glad to see him get a chance to make a play, make some plays. So here they go. Kind of the same Hank look, right? The inverted with a curl, but I think this time they give him a slot fade. So if you do get man coverage, I can throw the slot fade, right? So it's a good change up. They've been running make it look like slot fade around the corner. Now he's actually going to run the slot fade over the ball, curl, hitch. And again, it looks like Haas juke a little bit outside, hitch seam, hitch, slot fade over the ball. Good recognition of the backer vacating, finding it to the tight end of the ball. Good job catching for the first down there. Then put this one on here just because it's a little bit, I don't think it's something we've never seen before, but it is an interesting wrinkle. So out here, you're going to get 2 blocks. You're going to get your zone read, right, where we're reading the end. The interesting wrinkle part of this, right, zone read, is if he were to play down the line and the quarterback would pull it, well, now we've got a bubble here, and now we're reading him. So it's basically a modern triple option. So right here, if the quarterback were to, let's say he's down here, the quarterback were to pull it, now the next read is here. Does he widen with the bubble? If so, the quarterback would keep it. Does he stay here? Then the quarterback would throw it out, right? So just he ends up handing it, and it results in a pretty good play, a good run here, but a little wrinkle off the zone there. And then last play here, looked at the RPO earlier, same idea. He's looking here. If this guy fills, he knows there's going to be kind of a void here, and this is a really good throw. No choice but to catch it here, right on your chest plate, right on your numbers. So really good stuff there from the backup quarterback. So all in all, a pretty positive day for Florida. Some stuff to clean up, but that's what's nice about playing, a non-Power 5 team or a non-even FBS team for your first game. You get a chance to clean those things up before you get a tough, confident USF team coming in next week. That should be an interesting game. USF plays a lot like Tennessee, so Florida's got some experience with it, but they do play really aggressive and really fast on defense as well. So Florida's going to need to clean up some of these issues they had with movement. If they can do that, it should be a good game. Either way, we'll be back next week to take a look at it. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave a comment. Help us gain the YouTube algorithm. We'll see you back next week.